Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the NBBC Audit and Standards Committee meetings on the 10th of January, Councillor Condacor claimed that he has made representations to auditors over legal expenses for Councillor Cllr Golby's legal costs for defamation. At the 31st of January NBBC Audit and Standards Committee meetings, scrutinising the latest audit report, Councillor Condacor again stated that issues like the paying the legal costs of a deputy leader over the defamation stuff. Both of these meetings were public meetings on the council which I attended and were broadcast on the council's YouTube channel. There's also been social media posts by Councillor Condacor made to the same effect. Can Councillor Golby please provide some clarity to members and residents on these claims which have been made?
Thank you, Councillor Beetham. Councillor Golby, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'd be happy to provide some clarity on this. The question, yes, I'm aware of these comments that have been made by Councillor Condacor. It's just the next round in what seems to be obsessive and continuing efforts to drag my name through the mud with half-truths and smears. So, you know, Pravda would be proud of some of the stuff that's been put out recently. And it's ironic that Councillor Condacor is the person bringing this up because it's in fact him who was threatening to sue me for defamation. I wasn't going to mention this, and I've kept quiet about this for quite some time. But now it's being publicly spoken about by Councillor Condacor, I think the only right thing is that I should put forward my side of events. So, on the 13th of January 2022, I received an email from solicitors explaining they were acting on behalf of Councillor Condacor, who had instructed them to write to me with regards to a claim for libel. My alleged libellous action had been carried out in March 2021 in the form of a tweet, which did not name anyone. However, Councillor Condacor felt that inference alone was sufficient to seek legal recourse, albeit some 310 days or 10 months after the offending tweet, the supposed offending tweet, was posted. The letter then went on to issue what I can only call a list of demands that I must comply with in order for Councillor Condacor not to continue to pursue me in court. The demands were quite honestly ridiculous and included payment for hurt feelings. I, of course, spoke to the legal team here at the council and was informed that given the context of the threatened action, I would be covered by the council's insurance, and by extension, the excess would also be covered. I must admit, until that point, I didn't even know about this insurance at all. So, every day is a school day. A legal representative was engaged and a response was issued pointing out that your client, Councillor Condacor, threats of libel action against our client, me, appeared to be, with respect, a rather chilling attempt to curb free speech and undermine an elected councillor giving her view of a matter, something that will have been all the more relevant given the tweet was posted on International Women's Day. 10 months on, your client is now threatening our client for telling the truth and speaking her mind on a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. We also note that your client is very happy to indulge in incendiary language, some of which could be deemed to be highly defamatory, such as references to our clients as Nuneaton's most extreme right-wing councillor, likening local Conservatives to Nazis, and levelling unfounded allegations that local Conservatives cheat on their expenses and cheat during elections. Put in the wider context, Councillor Condacor displays a level of audacity in complaining about the actions of our client and threatening her with legal proceedings. This was an opportunity for Councillor Condacor to stop. However, he didn't. I then received a subsequent legal letter from his solicitors. Eventually, we get to the nub of the issue. Allegedly, the tweet I posted resulted in the loss of an election and subsequent loss of prestige and money associated to him holding that seat. Another response was sent, and basically, to put it simply, it was queried whether the client had suffered serious harm to his reputation as a result of the tweet. And it was also worth noting that mechanisms for challenging election results are in place. And Councillor Condacor had not pursued these, but instead waited 10 months after the election to raise the prospect of a defamation claim against me. It's also worth noting that my colleagues many times have publicly called out Councillor Condacor's behaviour. They've raised his bullying both in this chamber, to his face, and on social media platforms, as have members of the public. Councillor Condacor has not attempted to litigate against those who, during the election, he publicly accused of conducting a smear campaign against him, or indeed he has not had his solicitor send legal letters to the person who actually beat him at the ballot box either. That was Councillor Tromans. The common theme with these people, they're all men. No wonder my tweet on International Women's Day annoyed him. He's not pursued men for thousands of pounds for hurting his feelings. He's pursued me. It's unclear. My solicitors have queried and said it was unclear why he contended that me, our client, had an elected female councillor should be barred from expressing her views on the conduct of another elected councillor. We would welcome further clarity on this point. Councillor Condacor, however, did not have the courage of his convictions. He did not follow through with legal threats of taking me to court if I didn't cough up the cash. I've noticed that Councillor Condacor has started posting about legal issues on Facebook, with one recent post stating, "I've had lots of problems with Cllr Golby, which has cost me real money in taking legal advice." No, you chose to spend that money on frivolous legal action, trying to sue me over a tweet. You chose to do that. Not me. I didn't make you do it. You chose to do that. It's just astounding how you're always the victim or the victor, but you're never the villain, are you? Finally, I'd like to thank Councillor Beetham for this question, as it's given me the opportunity to speak publicly about some, but not all, believe it or not all of the behaviour I'm having to deal with on an almost weekly basis. I've been the subject of more than my fair share of misogynistic behaviour, attempts at smears and falsehoods propagated across many platforms by a certain few people, both political and not. You may remember that the last full council, the police were here to intervene on a similar matter. No one should have to put up with this. No one. But apparently I do. Again, the common theme, I'm a woman. I will not capitulate or be cowed by this sort of commentary from these sorts of individuals. Those who attempt to domineer and feign victimhood to avoid justifiable criticism, or those who throw around wild accusations but don't like it when they are challenged to provide evidence. And the ones that align with these people are equally as culpable. So to be absolutely clear, as councillors, we are all covered by insurance policies of this council, including you, Councillor Condacor. One of those policies for legal cover. Like most insurance covers, there is an excess to be paid on any insurance claim, as a financially responsible organisation, there's a budget set aside to cover insurance excesses of all kinds, including legal claims. Councillor Condacor threatened to sue me. I qualified for this cover. If he doesn't want the council to spend money on legal protection, maybe he should stop sending legal letters.
Thank you, Councillor Golby. Just a moment. Sorry, Councillor Condacor, what's the point of order?
Would the Mayor give me the courtesy of the right to reply to that?
No. Moving on to question 5, Councillor Cano.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I've been made aware of posts on social media showing a small part of an invoice dated the 29th of September 2021 for the sum of £11,900 with a line item, Cllr Golby Complaints. On one of these posts, it's claimed by Councillor Condacor that this sum is for stored Golby cases. Can the portfolio holder for finance please explain what this is in relation to?
Councillor Croft, did you wish to respond?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just to give some context to this question, this is not an invoice that has been published by this council. Just to explain to all members, if they aren't already aware, Councillor Condacor has a habit of wasting... see, I told you, Mr. Mayor. Has a habit of wasting a great deal of my officer's time in the finance department with a large number of audit queries outside of our annual audit each year, asking for usually hundreds, I think, of audit samples, which he doesn't need to see. As with almost everything this councillor says, the comments he has made are misleading. I can confirm that the invoice that he has published does not relate to any complaints against elected members and was not an investigation undertaken under the Code of Conduct for elected members. This issue was an operational matter which required external investigation, hence the external legal firm Invoice, at the request of the then Executive Director, who is the current CEO. The reference to Cllr Golby is a reference to the fact that Cllr Golby had highlighted the issue involved. It was not a complaint about Cllr Golby or any other member. And officers have actually apologised to Cllr Golby for the fact that this was published, and it should never have been referred to, never have referred to the Deputy Leader in the subject of the invoice. Councillor Condacor has once again taken half-understood information out of context to impugn the name of the Deputy Leader. And Mr Mayor, let us have no more of this humbug, that this is somehow some kind of non-political person, that this is some kind of disinterested community campaigner. His actions in this matter and the way he has behaved reveal him to be just another political, common or garden, low-rent hack. And he has attempted to blackguard the name of a decent woman to try to further his own political agenda. And Mr Mayor,
keep
we will
quiet
reject,
in the gallery.
we
Mrs.
will
Condacor,
reject his
Mrs.
behaviour,
Condacor,
and
please
we will,
keep quiet in the
carry
gallery
on.
while
Thank
the
you, Mr Mayor.
speaker's speaking. Mrs. Condacor, if you don't keep quiet, I will clear the gallery. This is a council meeting for councillors. The question was asked and an answer was given. This question was asked and an answer was given. It's not for the public to intercede or interrupt. Please keep quiet. And that goes for you as well, Mr. Smith. If you listen to the meeting, please. It's a public meeting, yes, for the public to be able to attend, but it is a council meeting to debate council issues, and it's the councillors that do that. Councillor Condacor, you've got a point of order.
Point of order. As I've been yet again attacked by the answer to a question which I'm not allowed to respond in the Constitution, will you give me the courtesy of allowing me the right to reply so that I'm not bullied by this council Conservative members asking Conservative members questions? Thank you.
It's questions to the portfolio holders or the leader, and no, there's no right of reply for opposition members. Sorry, question 6. Councillor Richard Baxter-Payne, would you like to submit your question, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. At an NBC Audit and Standards hearing on the 25th of November, which I chaired, during the publicly broadcasted section of that meeting, Councillor Condacor made a claim that a complaint he made in March 2021 still had not been investigated, as certain people have been exempt from the process because they are too busy. There have also been social media posts made by Councillor Condacor where, again, in relation to a complaint from the same time period, he stated Councillor Golby claimed to be too busy to talk to an external independent investigator. As the Chair of Audit and Standards, I would like to ask Councillor Golby, are you too busy to engage in this process?
Councillor Golby, did you wish to respond?
I do. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for the question, because yet again I'm aware of these comments too. There's a bit of a theme here, isn't there? I'm getting the impression Councillor Condacor's got a bit of a thing for me. So, again, do you want some water?
I'm not going to drag you out, Mrs. Condacor, but you are a member of the public. You're not here to interrupt the meeting.
The meeting's here to attack me, question after question.
Councillor Condacor, please don't interrupt. The member is speaking. Councillor Condacor, a member is speaking. Please show them the courtesy.
What courtesy do I get?
Sorry, Councillor Golby, would you wish to carry on? Still.
I do, Mr Mayor. You get every courtesy that you deserve, sir. So again, for context, and I'll provide some background for those unfamiliar, I need to timeline this situation so it makes sense. In September 2021, I was contacted by the monitoring officer, Director Richardson, who informed me that a complaint had been raised against me. I'm kind of waiving any right I've got to any sort of anonymity in this. On the 24th of November, I was contacted by the external monitoring officer who had been drafted in because Director Richardson couldn't handle the complaint internally. So the external monitoring officer was engaged, and I responded immediately explaining that I'd just gone back to work full time, so could the interview wait until the new year? I didn't cancel, I just asked for a bit of a delay given the time of year. The response I received a few days later said that this would be fine, as in fact the external monitoring officer was going on holiday, so it worked out quite well for them too. On the 8th of February, I was again contacted by the external monitoring officer asking if I had the ability to speak to them on the 14th of Feb 2021. By this time, I'd received the legal letter from Councillor Kondaka's solicitors, which I've just spoken about. I explained, explaining that they were acting on behalf of Councillor Kondaka, who had instructed them to write to me with regards to a claim for libel. It's because of this I then refused to carry on the conversation relating to the complaint, clearly stating that Councillor Kondaka is currently threatening to sue me for libel, so I will not be engaging on this matter further at the moment. And this is where things become a little bit more complicated. It's Councillor Kondaka who has brought this into the public domain. He's making false claims that the outstanding complaint against me, the complaint is still outstanding because I've refused, because I'm too busy to be interviewed. He's made these claims on multiple times in public meetings in this council, on social media, and he has brought the matter into the public domain through various mediums. The truth is, I refuse to engage on anything like this while the spectre of legal action is still hanging in the air, which it does. Although the time is spent for Councillor Kondaka to legally serve me in this matter, it's not for any potential legal action against this council in much the same way. It's for this reason why I will not engage on this complaint, so as not to prejudice any potential legal action or risk something that I say in the standards interview that might inadvertently undermine the council's position. Councillor Kondaka is very good at pushing half-truths and misdirection to make himself look like a victim. He sat here in a recent council meeting with a placard saying, "What about 3-21? Well, what about 3-21? You know full well what about 3-21. It's another good example of the nasty behaviour that is exhibited towards me, particularly from this man. And let me be clear, outside of this chamber, I have nothing to do with Councillor Kondaka. I don't contact him on social media. I don't respond to any of the posts that he puts out. He and his acolytes are blocked from my social media, which is something else I've been roundly criticised for. However, it's something I'm perfectly entitled to do. I'm not deliberately antagonistic, but I will stand up for myself. And I believe this is where the problem stems. A woman that won't be pushed around, and he certainly isn't nearly as obsessed with my male colleagues as he is with me. Councillor Kondaka has over the last few years made some wildly inaccurate statements about me. This is one of them, which have been presented as fact.
Any point of order will be heard at the end of the speakers' meeting.
Which have been presented as fact. He introduces conjecture and fantasy as objective truth, and this is another one of those times. So to sum it up, out of the nearly 2 years of this complaint has been live, I accept there was initial delay of a few weeks where diaries could not be aligned. The rest of the time where this complaint has not been progressed is entirely down to the actions of Councillor Kondaka. He constantly claims there's a smear campaign against him, when in fact he's doing the smearing to appear as if he's the victim with his misleading propaganda. What's happening, the delay, is a direct result of his own actions, and he knows this.
Thank you, Councillor Golby. Point of order, Councillor Kondaka.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can I have the courtesy of a right to reply, as I've been attacked for a third question? And the second point of order is we're supposed to be talking about the business of the council, not spending 20 minutes attacking Keith.
Questions to members are the business of the council, or by members to cabinet aren't the business of the council. And no, there is no right to reply as indicated previously. Moving on.